Hi Peeps, Donna here. Welcome to the members classroom. You know, today I'm going to be doing two flowers. This little guy, Plumeria, and this sort of a modified hibiscus. I started out with a drawing and I sort of followed it. You know, to tell you the truth, I didn't think it was going to turn out exactly like it, and it didn't. But I like this quite a bit. You'll notice there's no center. I just went ahead and made a 5-petaled hibiscus, and I thought, well, I will deal with the center later. You know something? I like it so much, I'm not going to do the center. And it now is an addition to my tropical collection. So I will be using it to make lace, etc. Anyway, so that's what this class is about. This flower, this flower. And I hope you enjoy it. And let's get started. Let's make a Plumeria. This is a Plumeria. It's very pretty, isn't it? But it's plain, and for my particular use, I don't want a flower like this, which is like bird of paradise, sort of like the side of it, you know. I think a flower with kind of a radiating petal design is better. This is hibiscus, could do that too, but I really like the Plumeria. It's very typically, well, these are all realistic exotic flowers. So, you know, any one of them or two of them or however many would be perfect for my purposes. But I think I'll just make the Plumeria. I don't make a lot of flowers, so what I did over the weekend was I worked on flowers. I made one, I mushed up the colors. I made a second one, I mushed up the colors. Then I made this one. I can't mush up the colors because I put too much black in. But I learned something along the way with each one. First of all, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to use a blend or texture because remember, the leaves are all flat. They're just flat color. And I thought that if I just made it flat color, it's a little too plain. So I thought, okay, I'll add a Skinner blend. Now, the first one I did, I tried to make the petals from a plug. And that didn't work out as well because even though I reshaped the plug to a petal shape, what happened was the shadows in the middle, they were just straight across. There was no curve in them at all. I thought, well, that doesn't work at all. That's not what I'm looking for. Here you can see that the shadow kind of goes up. I mean, the blend. It's deep there, but it kind of curves around like that. There's a definite curve in there. And I wasn't getting that from here, so that was like squish, 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 goodbye. Then I decided I would try again, and I would try to consciously create the curve. Well, it looked exactly the same. I couldn't seem to do it. Then I thought, okay, abandon that. If it doesn't work, don't keep doing it. And instead, I decided that I would start with a bullseye, Skinner blend bullseye, and then cut wedges and treat each wedge as a petal, and that's what happened here. And this was far more successful, but, you know, I got lazy. And there's no excuse for these corners here. You know what the corners were created? I didn't have enough black packing material, and I kind of shortcutted it. And so what could have been quite a nice little gracefully curving petals cane ended up being okay. It's okay. It's okay. Not the greatest, but it's okay. But what I'm going to do with them is I'm going to make, see, I made another one. This is just a plain necklace, and I'm going to use these as dangles along the way. Now, this one has embedded 2 jump rings, so, you know, maybe I'll dangle a little pearl there or something. I mean, this could be a really sweet little necklace. Anyway, So it's not that, you know, I'm not going to mush this one up. I will use it for something. But I want to try again. So this time I'm going to try something different. I am going to try to take a Skinner blend and start building the petals from, let's say, that darkest point, and then wrap around and wrap around and wrap around and wrap around. But keep that point, that dark point, right there on the edge, okay? Not make a conventional uniform, the center's dark, it blends out to light, kind of bullseye. I'm moving the center of the bullseye to the edge. Okay, so let me prepare for that. Now, by the time I use all the pink, this is all I have left of the pink. So what am I going to do? Yellow. I could do this nice orange. I love both. I love the yellow. I love the orange. There's just physically more yellow. Let's just do this and see if I can take more of these and push them together, like these together, maybe this guy together. Maybe I'll even mix these like so. Something like that. And if I need to deepen this, I'll pull some orange in and deepen the color. Maybe I'll add more white here because I'm going to need more white. I'm going to need more of the light because remember, it's just going to be that area of the darker color blending out to the light at the perimeter. All right, so let me mix these up and I'll be back. I decided to add this nice orange color. This will be the center. It was harder than the others. So I added conditioning bar to it because this color will appear in the finished cane in the middle, right down in the middle. I don't want it to hang back. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't hard, that it was kind of as supple as, let's say, this gold color and this color as well. It's easiest to start with the best consistency for your clay, isn't it? All right, so there's going to be less of it, though. There will be less of it, so let me just start like this. Perhaps like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take the next color and I will fold it. I like doing doubles because I get twice the volume of clay and half the space. If you guys know what I mean, I do this a lot. Okay, so I am going to do it this way and cut a bit of the tip off. So I want to use as much of the clay as I can, right? I do. Okay. And this area, and there's going to be a lot of this color at the other end. So let me just make, you know what, maybe I will do the old thing that I never do, which is instead of making a straight cut, make a curved cut. I know, I mean, I'm kind of stubborn in that way. There are certain things that I get used to doing a certain way, and then, you know, I'm like a homing pigeon. I just kind of stick with what I do. All right. Now, do I want more of the light color or more of this deeper color? I think I want more of the light in this center area. So let me just make an arced cut like that. Okay. Take this, transfer that arc shape like so. and put them together like that. Okay. Now, is this going to fit in my machine? It's got to be 6 inches. A little bit long, but I think I can compress it and get it in there. Okay. Actually, I think I will just do this. And then finally, as I'm finishing the wrap, I may actually Skinner blend this to white. I probably will. But in the meantime, I can Skinner blend this as it is. All right, so this edge on the rollers, I'm going to Skinner blend, and then I'll be back. Here is the blend. I'm going to fold it into thirds, like so. And I'm going to place this edge on the rollers and roll it through, setting probably 1 first. Then I will thin it out, and we're going to start wrapping and making that 1 petal. I'll be back. I rolled this out through setting 3. Now, if I rolled it out thinner than setting 3, I'd probably have fewer lines. I'm anticipating having some lines that are created as I'm wrapping. But you know what? The thinner is also makes it more difficult to actually do. So I am going to work with this setting, and we're going to see what happens. Cutting off a little bit of this orange at the end. And let me just start by rolling up some of this orange. I think I will roll maybe 2 there. Actually, and to there. Okay. Now, this is what we have so far. So I am going to actually take a little bit of some colored clay. Let me choose this. Okay. And I am just going to, it's not quite long enough. Let me make this a bit shorter. It doesn't have to be really long as I'm wrapping. And I am going to put this down so that I have some reference about as far as I can wrap. Okay, so that's going to be that. Now, I think I'm going to find it easier to cut and wrap than to sort of go this way and then fold back and then go that way and fold back and fold and fold. I could be wrong about that, but I'm kind of thinking that's going to be a little bit simpler. So let me just cut that and bring that up like so. Okay, just like that. All right, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right there on top of it and wrap it to the other side. My clay's sticking to everything. Okay, it's not exactly. Now there's the center. So let's try there. I just don't want to run over this center line. I went a little bit farther on that side. Well, you know what? Okay. Now let me go back the other direction. And I'm going to cut it a little bit shy of that last one. And ultimately, of course, I'm going to do some trimming with the blade. So I'm just laying down what I think is more than I need at the end. Because at the end, I will do some trimming. So this is just, I'm cutting this a little bit shy of where it ended up there, like so. So you can see what's happening here, right? Now, this one I will put back on top as if I had curled it back. Okay, flip it over, move it over to this one, try to cut a little shy of the previous wrap. Place this on top. So you guys know this is actually the first time I'm doing this, so I'm just doing what I think makes sense. You know what? I think soon I'm gonna put a wrap that goes all the way to the bottom. I think I will. All right, so there's that. Now let's take this wrap and go all the way from the bottom around. Now, if I don't like it, you know, I can always cut it away. I can always cut it away. So I've gone all the way to that little reference stripe, and I'm going to go all the way back to the reference stripe again. I mean, one of the nice things about working in a situation where, you know, I can cut it away, is that, hello, I can cut it away. I can cut it away. There's going to be plenty, and I can cut it away. Okay, so here, I think I'll back this off just a tad. So there's that wrap that goes all the way, and then I just backed it off a bit. So now it's just a bit shorter, like so. See? Oh, you know what? I forgot. I learned something, you guys. I can eliminate the dinging if I put my phone on airplane. So at the next break, I will put it on airplane, and then we won't be faced with that very annoying dinging sound. Now let's see what we have so far. Okay, doesn't look like much, but I think it's going to be good. All right, I'm cutting, and see, when I cut, I will cut that excess away. I'm going to keep building around. I want to build this area out more so that this area is just in the, really in the base. This kind of went out farther than I wanted. Okay, so I will be back. I decided I am going to take this yellow, which is also that yellow, and I'm going to Skinner blend it to white because I want more light around the perimeter. So this is just a conventional, good old 2-part Skinner blend, and then I'll be back. Here's my blend. I'm going to roll this through setting 3 and continue wrapping as I was before. So at this point, I have enough sort of volume and size. I think I will do the conventional kind of wrapping back and forth like so, and then pull that up, take and oops, oh, I ripped it. Dang. See, it would have been worse if it was, would have been even worse if it was shorter. Let me get myself settled in front of this camera, which I was not. Now I am. Then I'm just going to do the foldy thing and swing it back to the other side. Do the foldy thing again. Take my blade off my clay. folding. I think I can pull it back that far. And pull it back around because everything's getting like really wide, isn't it? Am I worried? Nope. Because this woman has a blade. Okay, so this is where it ripped. You ripped on me. Well, are we just going to take our chances, kids? I can't seem to separate them, so you know what? I'm taking my chances. I am. Let's stretch it over. Let me just swing you back. Actually, I'm gonna cut it. And I am going to finish off with some wraps of white around the top. Let's cut some off and see where we are. I have high hopes. High hopes. Perhaps I should trim some of you away, though, and then swing a little more white through there. Okay, I will. I just want to see. Why not? Why not? As you guys know me, I like this cutting part. Removing to create the shape I want. Now, of course, the more I add to the outside, the smaller this shaded element becomes, which is fine for me, I think. If I wanted it to be more prominent, I would have started with more of that deep orange color, and when I blended, I would have more of this color would have remained in. Do you guys remember I made that arced cut, and at that point I could have kept more of the goldenrod color in, but I didn't. I decided I wanted more of the pale yellow. Yep, just call me the lady with the blade. So what are we looking like on this side? Let's take a look. Oops. I like it. I think it's going to be a fine petal. I think. Now, if I didn't want as much of the orange, of course, when I get to my final trim, I can just kind of do one of these numbers. Oh. You know, I can actually cut some of that away and then reshape like so. Like one of these kinds of things. See? Okay, so let me continue. I am going to wrap some more white, I think think I really want more white around the top. Now, how's it going to look if the white drops? I think it's going to be fine. I'm thinking it's going to be fine. Okay. So I've got to condition more white. Hello, white clay. And then we will continue wrapping more layers of white around there. Okay, here's my white clay. Now, I did roll this through a thinner setting, setting 5. Remember how much trouble I had when it stuck and tore? So I had to make myself a little room as well and get clay away. Now, I made it thinner because I am going to drop this down here. And while I may trim it and cut some away, I don't know that as a fact at this moment. So I might as well start, because I don't think I want a very thick line of white there anyway. You know what? For this first one, I think I'm going to trim it with my blade. From there, let's say from there, which is right across from there, and to here. So let me just cut that away, like so. Okay, so the remaining ones I can do the pleaty thing. The pleaty thing. In other words, pleat them back and forth. Because it's so thin, it traps air much easier than the thicker sheets. So if you see anything like that, just best you can, eliminate them by piercing and pushing the air out. Okay. And every wrap is just a little bit shorter than the previous one. Just a tad. Just a wee bit. The white clay is softer, you know, which means that it's much more likely to stick like to itself, like you see, but it shouldn't be too difficult to separate as long as you don't squish things together, right? All right, so let's just call that a day. That's the end. I'm going to stretch this down if I can, like so, and cut the excess, cut that last bit away. Trim the excess here, and let's see what we have. Okay, so that's looking good. That's looking good. Of course, there are many opportunities for me to mess it up. We know that. Yep. Not a time to celebrate just yet. All right. So I'm just going to squeeze it and try to compress it a bit. Like so. And I'm going to take my trusty blade and start refining the shape, because the shape is a little bit round like this, isn't it? It needs to be more like teardrop shaped. Well, this is teardrop. It's just a very chunky one. It's a chunky teardrop, which might be okay. But I think it might be better if I just eliminate some rather than trying to squish it all together. It's going to get squished together, but as we all know, you start squishing and the clay moves where it's going to move, not necessarily where you want it to. So sometimes removing is very, very much better than squishing and not knowing exactly what the outcome is going to be. Okay, let me cut some of the white from this side. I have to turn it over and see what I've done on the other side too. I can push that white up and improve the shape. Now, the one thing about these Plumeria leaves is that the way Mother Nature put them together, they overlap, but also they kind of curl. And when they curl, they expose a side. Okay, let me get the picture. Like this, you see, they expose a little bit of the side because it's curling this way. So we have to actually make that feature because it's very much what you see with Plumeria. Now, I went a little over the top with this. I made it pretty thick because the one before I had made too thin. So we will address that when we get there, but first I want a nice shape. Yeah, but it's that curling thing that creates that side curl up that is so typical of these petals. Okay, so let me continue on this. I'm almost done, actually. Almost. And then I have to decide something. And what that is will I treat the curl, this, as an individual and unique element of each petal, or will I do one and make each petal identical? Clearly one is more work than the other. I haven't decided. I haven't decided whether it's going to make a tremendous difference or not. So let me, you know what? As I'm cutting, I'm thinking. So let me cut and think, and then when I've reached some conclusion and some decision, you guys can think about it too. I'll be back. So I decided not to be a lazy butt. So I'm going to reduce this out, cut 5 pieces, and treat each piece as an individual rather than making one and having 5 that are more or less identical. Now, see this? All right. Well, that, of course, there isn't a distinct line, I don't believe, in the actual illustration. It's just created because of shading. Now, I think I am just going to make a line though, a little line there, and that will be what separates the curl, this part that is actually the side and the back of the leaf kind of curling up. And the reason I'm going to use that is because I've done that with some of the other leaves. For instance, this guy, made thin lines between the two halves of the individual leaves and the palm, and it's the stem. Here you see the same thing, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, adding a Skinner blend automatically made this different than all the other leaves I had made. I think it still works, but I think by adding this back in, it may help make these flowers seem a little less radically different than the other elements in the same piece. And if I am aware of anything in my work, it's consistency. Okay, so I feel that there has to be certain consistency in these pieces, or it's going to be like, you know, a train wreck. I don't want a train wreck. You don't want a train wreck. So I'm going to be doing a bit of outlining, and then I'll add that other element that's the leaf curl. But first I've got to reduce this and cut 5 pieces. So this is how I trimmed. So you see I trimmed quite a bit away here. I exposed that deeper orange. This is what remains of that reference strip I had put in. And then I just cut away to create this teardrop shape. Now it's going to get elongated a bit. It will. I know it will. You know how I know it? I just know it will. But I will I will reduce. Actually, it's so close to round. I'm just going to reduce it round. And I know exactly where. It's not like reducing this. If I reduce this without any kind of reference on the perimeter, I don't know whether it's turned or twisted or what. Okay, so I'm not even sure it matters that much. Actually, it does matter. Because when you're reducing something as part of, let's say, an element in a bigger cane, if somehow this twists and you don't know it, you might have a problem. All right, so let me reduce this and I'll be back. So I reduced and rolled it out to 7.5 inches because I'm going to work with 1 1/2 inch pieces. Now 2 inches might have been better, but at 2 inches this gets very small and then it gets difficult to work with the individual pieces. Okay, so I sort of compromised. It's not 1 inch, it's 1 1/2 inches, but I think this will be easier for me to work with these individual pieces, the individual petals, and add those details. Okay, so here they are. Space, the final frontier. Okay. Let me deal with you. Hello. Why? What did I ever do to you? Okay, so let's begin by just restoring the shape. I made them round. And what I need are teardrops. Not those long, skinny teardrops, but kind of chunky teardrops. Hi, Louie. Hi, Ditto. It's a very special day. Ditto came down to visit. He's my shy one. He's my shy one. Hi, Ditto. My beautiful black cat. He's a beauty. Okay. Make that pointy. And there's the first one. Okay, so I will reshape them all, and then we'll start dealing with this highlight or the side fold. Okay, I think these are looking good. I think these are, I'm going to be happy. I hope I'm going to be happy. Okay. I'll be back. So I made one petal because I thought maybe I should make one to make sure it works out. And you know what? I'm pretty pleased with it. You know, of course, the illustration features a lot more of that deep orange in the middle. If I wanted to do that, I should have had much more orange in my Skinner blend. That might be obvious. All right, so let's move to the next petal. I really like that one. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to turn it over. We'll follow the illustration, and all the petals are curved this way. So that's what this is sort of trying to look like. Now, one thing I could have done was actually cut more off of here, right? And then that would have pushed the shadows closer to the curl. But I'm not going to do that because every time I do that, I have less clay. I have a smaller flower. We're just going to keep moving. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is this guy. Woo, like that. All right, so his basic shape is different. Different. It's more like this, actually. It's more like an ear. Less like an old teardrop, and actually more like kind of an ear. And this doesn't dip in right there. It's actually a nice curve that comes out like that. Okay, and this will be seated in like that. Actually, this guy looks more like one of the, well, whatever. They'll all fit in. Now, I'm going to take this. I rolled this through setting number 7, so it's quite thin. I'll make an angled cut, so it's a bit tapered. And now I'm just going to position it about right there. Like so. And then smooth it down to the point of attachment. Down here. Trim it away. Take this guy. And smooth it in and integrate it into the petal. Like so. Set that aside. Let's cut some of this excess away so we can see. Air bubble. Like so. Now, this curl is a lot thinner. This curl was rolled through setting number 2. I'm going to keep that just like that. And I'm going to take a new piece. And this curl is much smaller. So I'm going to roll this through probably setting number 4 or 5. So let's take a look. 4 is pretty darn thin. Maybe I just need 4. I don't need to go any thinner than this. You can see it's a lot thinner. than the original one, like so. And I think I will keep it at this setting, which is setting number 4. And I'm going to cut like so. And I don't put it right there. It's going to overlap just a little bit beyond that brownish coppery clay. Let's stretch this a bit. Like so. Trim the excess away. This is at the base of the petal. And now I have to thin this out, right? And the way I can do that, probably easiest, is simply to take the blade and cut. Like that. I cut a little bit too much away. I do not think that's going to be an issue. Not at the center of the petal. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. Air bubble. And remember, this particular petal has no dip. It just goes, swoops around, and it's shaped like an ear. As a matter of fact, I can pull it out a bit more this way and make it look more like an ear. Second one, just like that. Okay, let me take a cut and let's see what we have. Oh, one last thing I want to do is trim away right here at the point of attachment, so there's no little sloppy bits hanging over. Missing a little there. As I said, I do not think that's going to be an issue. So here is the second one. It will just fit in like that. Okay, so here was the first. Here is the second. And so I will just sort of follow. This guy is next, and it's like a teardrop with a little bit of a dip in the end. And the actual leaf turning seems to be deeper. Oh, excuse me, but I'm sticking with the same color. I'm just going to do the same color. So let me grab the next one. And I will continue. Just like the first two, or the last one I showed you. Once again, pay attention to the shape of this. Okay, see how this one goes like that? This one is just like this. This one actually goes over here. Well, whatever, I'm just gonna make my pieces. I'll be back. So I have made all my pieces. And pretty much I followed this best I could. So, for instance, this is thinner than this. You don't have to do the same thing with every one, of course. So now I have to put the pieces together. Now the next question is, am I going to outline them, for instance, in black? I thought I would do that with this one. I did it. I don't know, I thought it made it more consistent with the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to fit the pieces together as they are without the black outline. Now, we'll start with these two pieces. Actually, yeah, we'll just do these two pieces. So this guy has to fit over this guy, which means I have to make a space for it. Like so. Yeah, caning is like making a puzzle, right? Getting the pieces of a puzzle to fit together. I like that aspect of caning very much because I like puzzles. Now let's pull this side over, elongate just this side. Okay.
Look.
And it fits together like that. Okay, so each of the pieces have to cup and fit together. So you're going to have to make adjustments to the one you put on. So the next one I'm putting on is this. So this needs to be kind of a smooth arc that cups around this guy. See, it goes in and out like that. Well, it shouldn't. Hi, Louie. Louie came for a visit. Okay. And so did Vernon. Like so. Okay, so let's see how that fits. Cups around like that. I think I need to do a little more work on that, but you can see how this happens. You just keep making these adjustments and fitting them in. Now, at the end of the process, they might not be perfectly fitting. You may find that one's too big, one's too... Well, at that point, we will just sort of ease them together. So let me continue. I have a little more work to do on this, right? It just isn't quite the right shape and depth. Like so. Let's see how it fits now. And I think that's very good. Now, of course, you're going to have to make sure they fit on both sides, like so. So let me continue. I'll be back when I get all 5 fitted in. Okay. So I managed to get them all in together. Now, if necessary, you can... That's my... Vernon decided to do laundry. We do a lot of laundry around here. Okay, if necessary, just pinch and fit them in. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, I got them together. If necessary, when you're putting it together, do whatever kind of pinching and thinning you need to get the points to meet in the center. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm not going to have a little hole there, though. Okay, sometimes that happens. All right, now let's deal with the perimeter and the shapes of things. Now, this was the one that was kind of shaped like an ear, so I'm going to pull that out and make sure I still have that shape. Now, the one next to it it had a dip in the middle. Now, maybe I won't put it in exactly the same place, but I think I will try to retain that little difference in the shape of the petal. Makes it a little more interesting. I went to the trouble of doing them all individually, so I might as well do whatever I can to maintain the individuality of the leaves. This guy, let's just pull this out. I'm going to make him more like sort of nicely teardrop shaped. Oh, air bubble. I'm glad I didn't outline it in black. Okay, so there we go. Now this guy, I think I'm gonna pull this side out a little more, like so. Bring a bit more of a point out at that point. So, and actually, I'm gonna flatten you out more. Like so, and this guy, you're gonna have kind of a flat end right here. Let's flatten you out just a bit. Uniquely flat. Yeah. So you have a blunt end. This guy is slightly blunt as well. This guy is more round. Oops. That's the ear. Okay, now I'm going to roll a thin sheet of black, and the black is going to be wrapped in and out and all around. I'm wrapping the whole cane in a nice sheet of black clay. Okay, this I think might be a little small, but it's going to be thin. It'll be maybe setting 3 or 4. I will be back. So I rolled my sheet out and it's through setting 5, so I made it thinner. And now I'm going to wrap around. Okay, so what I need is to find my needle. I have this nice dull needle. And so I will just carefully try to work the clay into the crevices. You know, the best way to do that is not to stretch like that, but try to work it right down with your fingers first, like so. Okay, then come up to the next one and around, and the cane is big enough. I can actually take, and with this needle, just kind of work that clay down into the crevice, like that. Okay, I mean, as usual, we want to avoid air pockets if we can. Okay, so let me just continue to work around, like so. Like that. Take the needle and work slowly so that you give the clay a chance to stretch. It's less likely to break if you let it stretch. Okay, pushing down, taking using the needle, just slowly working it in there. And I'm rotating it, of course, as I'm pressing it in. Then move to the next one. Try to work the clay down in to the space between the petals. Take your doll needle or your Pro Tool, something like that. Work it down in. Now, I don't know that I've ever talked about this before with you guys, but this layer of black clay functions as a buffer. It's a buffer zone, because I'm going to, of course, pack all the spaces with black clay. And by putting this buffer zone in, I will avoid the squareness that I got there. Well, I had other problems with that. It wasn't only not having a buffer zone. I had one. Okay, so see, I did kind of crack the clay there. I'm not too worried about that. There we go. Now it's completely wrapped. Okay, the next thing I have to do is fill these spaces. I rolled a nice big cylinder, but it might still not be enough. I might actually need more because, well, you'll see. So let me take this and let's cut 4 wedges. Like so. You know, you see each of these wedges will fit in there, but they should be reshaped. Actually, I think I can just reshape it by just slowly pushing like this. Of course, it doesn't hurt to do this. As a matter of fact, it's better. My little fingers are making the curves. Like so. And yes, I'm going to need to make one more. Maybe I should have made a Plumeria with 4 leaves, but that's not the way they grow. Okay, so maybe this guy's ready to be put into a suitable space. Like that suitable space. Maybe I can find a better suitable space. Is that better? I need to flatten you out more. Okay. As I'm working, I don't want to like destroy the petal shape. Ooh, today Louis gets his nails done. What time is it? Uh-oh. Life. There's always something going on around here. All right, so you guys see what I'm doing. I will be back, I promise. I packed, and you know that one that I needed, instead of rolling a big cylinder, I just made a triangle and pushed it into place. Now remember that one leaf that had a little dip in it right there? Well, that's this leaf. So I just rolled a little snake and I pushed it right in there. First I restored it with this, pushing it in, and then I put the snake in. Now I'm going to do a rough cut around because clearly I need to make sure that where right here, I need to make sure that I don't create a situation where I square things off. So I'm going to be trimming the excess away, trying to make it round, and then I will deal with any places like that. Okay. Now, if you need any help in terms of cutting something round like this, then you should get a cutter. Try to find a cutter that is the size you want. Center it over the clay like so, and lightly impress, and then you have something to follow. Okay? It might make it slightly easier. Okay, when I'm done, I'll be back. So I trimmed the excess away. Here's my little pile of clay. And now you can see where there are potential problem areas right here. If I don't fill that in, what's going to happen? It's going to start moving and it's going to close wherever it wants to. I want to take care of that. I want to fill that with clay. I want more clay here. I need more clay here, certainly right across this span, because what's going to happen? Oh, we know what's going to happen. Okay. Then there are areas that don't exactly need more clay, but they do need attention. So this is a good example. I think there's plenty of clay here. I can trim a lot of this away, but first, before I do that, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to push whatever clay is there together. Then, once it's together, I can take my blade and just shave off those bits until that part of the cane is nice and smooth and packed with clay. Okay? And that's what will retain this nice round shape of the petal itself. Okay, so you can see I didn't really need to pack any. There's a little tiny space there. Maybe I can draw some clay over from the sides, like so. But I think that that's all right. It's spaces like this that are the most concerning, these big spaces like that that need to be filled. Here, I think I've got enough clay. I'm going to do the same thing. Try to draw the clay over. Make sure that there is clay in there, that that's not a hole. Then take the blade and start trimming away the excess, like so. Okay, like that. I may also trim some away here, because after trimming the two sides, the circle actually got smaller, didn't it? Okay, so let me work on filling that space, this space. And one way I'm going to try first is by taking just some clay, cutting out a wedge, seeing if I can just fill that wedge with this bit of clay. Now, I might have to do it several times. I don't really know. But that definitely helped fill that in. Okay? And I don't think I am going to have to do any more than that. As long as I get use my tool and make sure that the clay is really in there. Now on this side, we got another little, it's just a tiny bit. But it takes almost no time to do, so why not? The more of these pockets I can fill, the less movement there's going to be when I reduce. Now, I seem to have made 2 spots that have little indents. That's not a problem. I'm going to go with the flow. But that means I have to have something to fill it, right? I do. So perhaps, what have I got here? I have all these little bits and pieces that can be used. This looks like a perfect one. Just going to push it right down in that space. Trim. This side doesn't need additional trimming. Make sure that there's no air there. And take my blade. I'm so excited. I bought a new microphone because the microphones that I bought with my new stand are really not good. So those will, I don't know what to do with those, but they're not going to be used. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just going around trying to fill any irregular or open spaces on the perimeter. I think I've pretty much got that taken care of. What are you? What are you? I think I can trim that away. All right. So let me continue my trimming and then I'll be back. So here it is. I think I finished all my trimming and now it's time to reduce it. The moment of truth. So I'm gonna smash the face like this. Smash them. And then start pulling it out. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do this for a while. Until I get to the point where I can pull it out. And as I'm squeezing, I will, those gaps in the center should go away. All right. Okay. It actually feels really good. I hope it looks good. Arg. I will be back. All right, I reduced it and the center really did hang back on me. I should have worked harder at it maybe, but let's cut the middle. Let's see what we've got. Moment of truth. Aw, that's sweet. It's better than this one, I think. Much. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to be cutting my flowers from the middle to the ends. Now, I do see that there is a bit of a space there. I'm not too concerned about that either because of the way I'm using them. I'm going to be embedding an oval jump ring in, and then I texture. So the act of texturing is going to close that up as well. Okay, so there is our Plumeria. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think it's going to be great with these leaves. Okay. Tropical flower number 1 down. So the next flower I'm going to attempt is the beautiful hibiscus. That guy. Now, if you look at this guy and this guy, you can see that this guy is quite a bit more complicated than this one. This one was actually quite simple. It was easy to take this and simplify it for our purposes. This guy, a little more difficult, but I think I can do it by creating several colored slabs and then inserting various parts and pieces side by side to create sort of a grain, but I don't want it to be really, really detailed, if that makes any sense. Remember, I'm looking for some kind of consistency, something that isn't like a train wreck when it meets the leaves, you know, leaves meet flower, boom. No, that's not going to work. So this is my first attempt. Hopefully it will be, hopefully I won't have to do it several more times. So let's get started. I have assembled the colors I'm going to use. Now at the base, way deep down in there, of course it's the darkest part. I'm going to use this, which is sort of my version of alizarin crimson, which is red and ultra blue mixed together. You know what, for good measure, I'm going to toss in a little bit of copper and yellow and black because you know what, it's there. Okay, so I need, basically I'm going to make 2 canes that are put together. Then I've got this nice red. Then I've got the white. Then I've got this, which will be the white blending down. And then I have this color of red. Now, this red and this red are not the same, obviously. Is that important? I don't think so, because this red at the base is sort of deeper anyway and more concentrated, right, than this color at the perimeter of the leaf. Okay, so then the second one is going to be kind of simpler. This is going to be my version of alizarin crimson, blending to a red, like this. Now, do I want the red? This is like, once again, a different red. So let's, I think I'm gonna, you know what, I think I want it to be the same. So if I want it to be the same, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to mix this together and this together, right? And then I will have something close. Actually, I'm going to take more of this and push it over here. So there is a difference in the colors, slight, right? Not a huge difference between these two by the time I mix them. I have to think about that because I may push it even further. I may take more of this and pull it here so that the contrast between those two colors is greater. Now, this going out to here, I think this is going to be fine. But once again, once I mix these down, I may take and lop some of this and throw it into here. Okay, so let me start just mixing these, lining up my colors, and then making a decision as to what happens with this perimeter color. because it is slightly different. It is slightly different. Okay, so let me get started on it. I may need a third. See that streaky down there? Streaky down there might be this guy with a, oops. I think I will toss the hair aside and maybe take some of this guy here. Maybe take some of this guy here. So it's not like the brightest white highlight. It's sort of, you know, it's less white. What can I say? This is like, ooh, bright. This, not so much. So this is a different color entirely, and it can blend down to something that's darker. All right, so I'll be back. So here are my colors. This is the darkest, that will be at the center, and then the highlight, and then it shades back out. But I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna make it big like this. And then I'm thinking that I will be able to selectively take parts of it. And I think that works better than a Skinner blend bullseye, which was the other thing I was thinking about doing, making bullseyes and then cutting wedges and thinning them and using the wedges. But I think I'm going to try this instead. Now, let's just look, how much white? Well, this white area appears to take maybe between a fifth, and a fourth of the length from the center to the edge. So I'm going to reduce the amount. This is way too much here. So I want a little less of that. Okay, and the other colors, I'm going to let them pretty much stay as they are. So the white will be less. Because the actual highlights are not, I mean, if you took the volume of white highlights in here, it's very small compared to everything else, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to set up my multiple part Skinner blend, and it's got to be 6 inches. Yeah, it's going to be 6 inches. Okay. So let me just start with this. Let's assume that it makes up maybe a quarter. It's a little bit crooked, but that's kind of okay. I want more of this color. Like that. Now, let me do the same thing with this and with this. And see if by some chance I have to increase the white. I would really like this to work. Please, please, please. And I don't want to make it 4 times or whatever. Again. Wah. Wah. And then I want more red on the end. This is going to be wider than 6 inches. I'm going to have to ease it in. Okay, there's actually less of the red at the center than there is in other places. What am I doing? Oh, this is what I'm doing. Okay, okie dokie. And there is less of it. Yes, there is less. So this wedge will be smaller. Da, 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 da. Okay, come on, you can do it. You can do it. So I'm gonna leave a little more. Just a bit more of this guy, like so. And let's leave a bit more here at the base. All right, so of course I have to cut the bottom because right now the white, most of the white is going to be blended. I want to have some of that pure white somewhere. The other colors I'm not so concerned about if they totally blend. All right, so let's, phew. Okay, so wish me luck. This is what I've got. Oops. Move, you. Now, the one thing, this is the total volume of clay that will be in one petal, and then it's going to have to be 5 petals from this volume of clay. It's not a heck of a lot of clay, is it? No, I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to make you watch me, but I did. This is 2 times the thickest setting of my pasta machine. Yeah, that's, I mean, my pasta machine only gets so thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this extra. I'm going to add another layer because I don't think I have enough clay here. Okay? So I'm going to build this again with more clay. Okay. Take the next color, which was, I believe, this one. Because I think I simply need more clay. Yup. Yuppie, 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 yup. Like so. Let me cut this away. And I can see where the white ends down here, so I'll just cut it like that. Okay, I'm not going to make you watch, as I promised and said before, so I'll be back. Make it, oops, narrower. See, it's a little wide for my machine. My machine has 6-inch rollers, and this, at this point, is a little more than 6 inches. I don't have to go too far, but that's what I want to do. And I also want to thin it because 3 thicknesses of setting number 1, pretty hard on my machine. Pretty hard. So let me thin it by rolling it out this way. And as I do, I'm going to keep pushing the sides in, even doing one of these numbers like so. Just pushing it in. And one thing I did not mention, I did try to make the different colors the same texture and feel. So nothing is much, much, much harder than anything else. And the way we control that, of course, is with what? A conditioning bar. Or some kind of clay softener. Now, as it is, this does feel a little bit stiffer to me. Or, you know what? It doesn't feel stiffer. This feels softer. Well, do your best. Just do your best. Okay, so let me continue trying to thin this way and thin this way, and then I'll be back. So here I have done it. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Just me and the boss. This is called The Boss from Teresa Salgado. The Tiny Pandora. It's wonderful. You get it, you'll never regret it. And it was a gift. Thank you, Lynn. Okay. All right, so here we go. Look at that. Now I'm going to Skinner blend. And I'm going to put this edge on the rollers, and I'm going to keep folding and rolling until I got my blend. I'll be back. Here is my blend. Now on the back, you see it's not perfect. I had to fold and roll a lot. This is a lot of clay. So, you know, the more clay you have, the bigger your blend is, the more you're gonna have to roll. Yeah, it's life. Now, I'm going to place this edge on the rollers. I'm gonna roll this through like setting 3 or 4, and then I'm gonna roll it up sideways. We're making a plug. I'll be back. Okay, rolling. Now, as I'm rolling, I'm kind of trying to match up the light part. Okay, I find I think that's going to be the most important thing. So let me finish. Then I will be back. I'm glad I added that extra layer. Really glad. Okay, so here is the big roll up. Let me push the ends in a bit, like so, like that. Now, if I don't want striations in the petals or in the blend, then I have to do something, and it is this. I got to start twisting and rolling and twisting and rolling. And that eliminates those lines that can be created when you're making a plug. Just an extra step. Now, if you don't mind the striations and you want them, then you can skip this step. You don't have to do this at all. But if you want to eliminate them, then you twist, and by twisting, you're actually, the striations are still there, but they're starting to stretch and get thinner and thinner and thinner as I'm twisting like this. I think you can probably visualize that in your mind, because the twisting is actually making them what? Longer. And when they're longer, they're thinner. And if you do this enough, they pretty much disappear entirely. Okay. Da, da, da. Okay, so let me continue to twist for a while. Then I'll be back. So I've twisted and I compressed and I made an approximately 3-inch plug. Now I'm going to flatten it. It's pretty thick. Yeah. Thick. Okay. Let me take the boss. And I want to thin this so that it is just a bit thicker than the thickest setting of my pasta machine, because I'm going to roll it through and make a long strap. It's going to be long. You can trust me on that. A drink. Oh. But I figured I needed this much clay for what I want to do, because I'm not going to be reducing this flower to little teeny weeny, right? If I'm going to put it on my necklace, it has to be about this big, which means I have to have enough clay to make that petal and then reduce it down. The center, we're going to have to make the center of the hibiscus. Got a choice here. Could make the center kind of separately and then just put it on, or build it in. I'm not sure which would be easier. They're both a little bit fussy, a bit. All right, so let me work on this and just roll, pinch, stretch until this is just a little bit thicker than the thickest setting of my pasta machine. I have a while to go, don't I? Yes, I do. I'll be back. Thanks to the boss and a little elbow grease, I thinned it out and it's looking pretty good. I am now going to place this edge on the rollers, roll it through the thickest setting of my pasta machine. Let me reset my machine and I will be back. I rolled it through, I took a cut at the end, and this is what I have. So you can see there's the light highlighted area. I don't know that I'm going to have any white. I will have the highlights, but not the white. Now, what I'm going to try to do next, this is the amount of clay, is sort of, here, let me just take another piece and work on placing the highlights where I want them. And then sometimes, let's just cut this. Even reversing direction sometimes, maybe. Well, we'll see. It's going to take a lot more. It's going to take many more of these. Like so. And maybe sometimes taking something like this, in my mind, this is going to work. That's in my mind. Wish me luck. Oops, oopsie, it's alive. And then I don't want to cut too much more. I won't have anything to cut to make. Let's see. I need this color up here. So sometimes taking and maybe thinning out the red below, like so, and then pulling the highlight out to the perimeter. This kind of thing can start happening by using the same one. Just taking it and where I want the highlight. I think it's easiest to establish where you want the highlight and then the highlights, and then position them where you want them. You can even put a highlight up here. Okay, something like this. Why not? and just start building the petal out like this. I think it could be interesting. And then at the end, I will start like reshaping the overall petal. This is just part. I still would have to build out this way and a little more on here, but then I would have a full petal. It's kind of interesting looking. Let me take a cut here and see what starts happening. And you know what? I think this is going to work. Yay, it's going to work. Okay, so let me start doing this in earnest. Now, I am going to cut these pieces 2 inches. Okay, that should give me enough. So I'm going to cut all of this strip in 2-inch pieces, and then I'll be able to pick and choose from each one where I want things to go. I'll be back. So here is my first piece. I think I'm going to cut some of this off and then kind of cut here. Now, one of the problems is that it's not perfectly halved, right? This is not a perfect half, these two, but I think I'm just going to have to continue this way. Now, this will sit there. Let me figure out where the next guy is going to go. Like so. Maybe like that. And I'm going to keep all these pieces because they actually may come in very handy later. Okay, so these will be fine for later as well. Okay, so let's just build up the highlight. Okay, maybe the highlight goes there. I'm gonna cut this guy off the end, and then cut this off the top. Now, I think it's gonna help me if I just kind of, it's not going to be the finished shape of the leaf, but it's going to be a shape, a leaf shape. All right. Okay, so I think for obvious reasons, I cannot build it exactly as it appears. So let me try to kind of build it in a way that makes sense, but isn't like exactly the same. I mean, it can't be. It can't be. That just isn't possible the way I'm working. Somebody else might be able to do it exactly as it is. But today, that just isn't me. And to be honest with you, that wasn't exactly my goal. I just want to make a pretty hibiscus leaf petal that is consistent with my Plumeria. Okay, how are we looking? Am I going to leave you there? I'm not really sure. Maybe. 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 Da, 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 da. Okay, so sometimes I think I can even do this. Da, 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 baby. Da, 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 da. All right. Perhaps I should do that again. Only this time, maybe I'll leave you a little bit thicker at the base and work on putting something else up on top. What are we thinking? Baby. Well, it may not be exactly what I wanted to make, but you know what? I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm starting to have good feelings about my petal. I am what I am, and it's all that I am. Okay. Here we go. I can even stretch it if it's not long enough. Just stretch it. This will be a little bit thinner. No biggie. No biggie. No biggie. Okay, stretch. I snorted. All right. Good night, baby. Well, you're a little short, but so am I. Oh, man. What would it be like to be tall? I don't know. Maybe it's better this way. I can't see the top of my Friggy. Okay. I think there are scary things that tall people see that short people don't. All right. You know, I'm liking this. I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. How about that? Okay, so I'm taking this to the pasta machine, setting number 1. I'm going to make it longer the easy way. Setting number 2. Look, it's long enough. Look, it's almost long enough. Setting number 3. Now, it most definitely is long enough. Ooh, most definitely is a lot longer. I'm going to match up. I think this end. I have a choice. Do I want to match up the dark end or the light end? It's the wonderful pasta machine trick, right? Okay, let me thin this guy. And how about, do I want to put you here or do I want to put another light piece? I think I'll put another light piece there. Just build up this kind of wedge shape right here. Okay, now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to thin it through setting number 3 again. Actually, no, No, see, this can happen. This can happen to you. I started out thick. Now I'm working on this thin guy. I could just make everything thin from now on, but I don't think that's a good idea. Something tells me that's not a good idea. I mean, you can't mess with the scale to the point where then you just have thick in the middle, thin on the outside, blah, blah, blah. I think you guys know what I mean. Those thin pieces are sort of like in emergency. It's like a break the glass type thing. You know, when you have to, you do it. I mean, it kind of makes it more interesting to me, but for the sake of consistency, I think I better pay closer attention to just making sure that most of this petal is rolled through that thicker setting. I know. I mean, perhaps next time, if I do this again, I might decide that, yeah, I want to roll everything through setting number 3. But that's not a decision I made to begin with. So let me roll this through setting 2. See about pulling this up like so. Okay. And I think I will pre-taper. You can taper when it's on to a certain extent just by rolling, but why not pre-taper? I will taper a bit here. Okay, you know what? It's looking really good, and I have 3 whole pieces left. Yay me. Okay, let's just take that, put that there. And I think I will make a thin piece and just from there and just lay it in there. Just a skinny little piece. Taper. Put it in. Pull it up. Now, do I like that? I'm not sure I like that. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of sure I don't. So I'm just going to cut it away at this point, taper it up so that it's just a little insert. It's not going to carry the eye all the way to the edge. It's just going to be in there like a little dash. Okay? Because I have several more of these great pieces that I can use. Okay, so what I want is I want this guy on the perimeter. Because in some of these, see, there is a little bit of dark right there. Boink. So why not? Now, I believe, want to cut this here and taper it because I've got to have that dark at the base. Baby, da, 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 da. Okay. Okie dokie. Artichoke. Is that a good place to start? Yeah, not too bad. It's actually a good place to start. All right. Okay, and the last piece will be like so. Actually, I think I'm going to make that dark area a little more wedge-like. And the way to do that is to take another piece and to thin one edge like so. Insert this here. Then I have something that looks more like a wedgie. Okie dokie. Do I want that there? Do I want the light there and the dark there? Do I want the dark there or the light? Decisions. What you gonna do when she says goodbye? Okie dokie. I am going to take this guy and put this guy right there. Why? I don't know. I just decided. I'm going to put that guy right there. And okay, there'll be one like hot spot at the center. I could cut it off. I'll cut it off. I cut most of it off. Oh, I think that little bit's going to be okay. All right, so this is what I have left. This is what I have left. Just this. I used all of that to build this cane. Okay, now I'm going to cut to shape. Now, at the center, I will take, and with my fingers, just bring that to a point in the middle. Ugh, I have to work on the thingy that sticks out of the middle. Ugh. I think I want to do that separately. I don't want to build it into the cane. Seeing as how I didn't really plan for it, I'm just doing the petal. Okay. All right. So, because I don't necessarily trust myself all the time to cut the right way, I rely on cutters a lot for this kind of thing. So there's one. I don't want to lose that wedgie. And here is another corner like that. So let me just carefully try to cut away and cut a nice curved, nicely curved petal. Nicely shaped petal. If I can. You guys know me, I love the cutting part. Just don't ever ask me to cut hair. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is a story in my family that sends chills up and down everybody's spine. Yeah. All right. You know what? I really like this leaf. I like it. I like it. I think I'm gonna like it. I would cut some off, but I don't want to waste any. All right, so let me reduce this, because you know what? We're going to have to build that guy separately. That guy. Or maybe we'll make some mutant hibiscus without one. Okay. I'll be back. I'm going to reduce this, and then I'm going to cut it, and we're going to see what our petal looks like. All right. Okie dokie. I've reduced it. I cut one end, and this is kind of what I have. And it's about 8 inches counting the scrap. But what I want are 5 pieces that are 1.5 inches. Okay, so let me cut those. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last one here. 5. 5-petaled flower. And here is the other end. Here are 2 of them. And here is this. And this guy. There we go. Here they are. And you know what? I really like them. I like them a lot. All right, so let's put the flower together. Now, I'm going to have to do some shaping here. For instance, this guy, it kind of goes, and then it comes out, and then the perimeter is a little bit frilly, isn't it? Just a bit on the frilly side. So let me do this. Pushing it in. Now, see, I can push it in like so. See how I reshaped it just using this? Or I could cut out the shape. This is easier. And I think it's, oops, it's alive. It's going to be a bit easier to handle, right? And cutting that kind of oops. I must have clay buildup on this thing because it's really sticking. Well, anyway, I will concentrate on the center first. So there's one, and the one next to it appears to be behind it. Okay, so this is a situation where ideally, rather than pushing it into shape, it's probably better to cut it away. Okay? Yeah, I know. It's kind of, because I have to cut this shape in that piece. Whatever this is has to be cut out of that piece. So let me see if I dare do that. And how? See, that's the big question. How the heck do I do it? All right. the way I'm going to do it is I am going to try to take the sharpest cutters that I have, which are these guys. These are the sharpest. Clay stuck to the bottom of them. Oh, more clay stuck to the bottom. Now, let me just take, what's a good general cutter? Let's see how this guy will do. Okay, because what I have to do essentially to get this to fit in here is cut like that, that. Now, the actual real in the picture piece cuts farther in this way. So, okay, I'll do it. I'll try it. Cut that. And then try to make this piece fit. Okay, so I'm just going to take this and try to cut straight down. I know, it is kind of a challenge. But these cutters are nice and sharp. So I think I can do it if I'm very, very careful. Maybe I'll take, this guy, cut away like that, straight down. Try not to cut too much away. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's just another skill for you to practice, maybe concentrate on. Because when you squish clay together, something happens, patterns change, and things happen. And it's fine if you know that that's going to happen and you accept it. But sometimes you want to get rid of things. Because if I want this piece to look like it's behind this piece, then the pattern has to make sense, doesn't it? The pattern itself has to make sense. Which means that this line can't be going around like that. Then you don't have the illusion that one piece is behind another. You lose that illusion. Okay, so let me see if I can just smooth that. Good. Oops. This side didn't get quite cut away enough. Ah, this is the one here. I just didn't do a very good job on the first one. Okay. That should be better. The end piece was a little longer. Cut some of it away. So now we have a much better, the illusion that this one is behind is reinforced by the fact that this doesn't go around that curve. Okay, so let us put the next one in position. It's going to be like this. Is it going to be like this? That makes it too much look, it makes it look like mirror image. So I'm going to flip it over to this side so it's not a mirror image type thing. Now, this shaping is more like that. Just a curve, a very nice curve, like so, right? Like that. Like that, which means what? I have to cut that out from here. So how far do I want this to go in? Maybe like that. Now, do I have a cutter, a big sharp cutter that'll do that? Yeah, look, that's pretty darn good. So I am going to cut straight down. Gonna do my best anyway. You know, maybe these sharp cutters aren't as sharp as my regular metal cutters. I'm gonna try my metal cutters next. That's pretty good though. See? Oops. I cut it out. There we go. Okay, so I think you guys get the picture. That's what it's going to be like. Now, these last two will go in there. And you know what? They have to fill all that space. These two pieces have to fit all that space. So I think what I will end up doing is altering the shape, making it wider, like a chubbier teardrop. These two will be chubby teardrops, because there's space that needs to be filled. And if I leave them elongated and skinny, they don't fill that space at all. So I just have to say, okay, this is just the way it's gonna have to be, and make them even shorter and chubbier. But I'm liking this flower a lot. I am liking this one a lot. So let me work on fitting these two in, doing precisely the same thing. Now, in addition to making these chubbier, I may actually push on these and try to bring these wider as well. Okay, maybe bring this down like so. Push this in so that helps push these other two down to fill more of this space here. Okay. We kind of do what we have to do, right? Yeah, it's true. It should definitely work. All right. Okay, so I will continue making these chubbier and trying to bring the edges of these petals down further this way. I will be back. So I managed to fit them all in. I did cut away from this petal so that this petal looks like it's overlapping. But you know, I had so much that I had to fill. I wasn't really able to cut a lot away. I just had to keep pushing it in to make it fit. All right, so the next step is actually just to deal with the overall shape of the flower. And if you see this, you see it's not like a smooth petal. It's more like ruffled at the at the edges. So I'm going to work on that, and the way you work on that is really just by taking a tool like this, like my little brass rod, and pushing in some places and doing your best to draw the clay out in others. The drawing out part is not the easiest to do, actually. The pushing in part is much easier. The drawing out part is a little more difficult. You know, it gets down to kind of trying to pinch when it's a little bit difficult to even get a grip on something. So you can try to draw it up by rolling like this and rolling in a certain direction, and it pushes the clay up. Okay. Now, also you might try just pulling the clay from here up and around and making it a little frilly. Like so. Okay, so I will keep working on that. Doesn't look exactly like it, but you know, I think it's rather attractive little flower. We shall see. All right, let me continue working on the perimeter, then I'll be back. Now I have to wrap the whole thing in black. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it through like setting number 2, I think, on my machine. That looks kind of thick to me. I'm going to go to setting 3, like a better thickness. Okay, so for this, we've done this before. I'm going to need something like this doll needle or maybe a Pro tool. And I'm just going to start and work my way around. Now, as I'm going, you remember this, I'm going to try to push this black sheet into every crevice between the petals, right in there. Kind of veered off course here, so I'm just going to pull that black clay up so it covers the flower. Okay, like so. Now I have to put little wedges between each petal. Now with this flower, the wedges were quite a bit larger than they are here. You can see that more of the flower is going to fill the circle. Here's the black circle, the flower is set in the black. So what I'm going to do is take this, it is just a snake I rolled. I'm gonna cut it in half because I need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. And I'm gonna cut my wedges And then wherever it's necessary, I'm gonna just like pinch like that, right? Pinch the point of the wedge, like so. Let's just insert it in the first space. Push it. Push the flaps on the side down, like so. Cut the excess. Okay, so this is a bigger wedge. It will go into this bigger space. I'm going to push this down and flatten it too. It'll be a little bit easier to get these corners flattened against the cane rather than have them kind of thick and sticking up and wanting to do their own thing. In you go. In you go. Okay, that's looking good. Now I have to do that 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. And then I will be back. Now it's time to fill the ruffly spots. Okay, so I've just rolled a snake. And I'm going to cut the piece in half and press them into the side like so. Here's another one. I guess I didn't have to press them in before. Doesn't really hurt anything to do it. But this is what is going to create the ruffles and the frilling and the edge of the petal. These little pieces of clay that are going to push in and not allow that part of the petal to come out when we reduce. Okay. All right. Now, at this point, I think I'm going to start cutting, and I will have to do more filling in after. That I will have to do. But I think I want to cut some of this excess away right now. Now, let me take a cutter again. That one's too small, so I know where to cut. It's going to be approximately, I would say there, like so. I'm going to follow that. Let me turn this around and lightly impress a circle on that side as well. So I might as well just start cutting here. Like so. And of course I will flip it over and I will cut the other side too. I'll be back. So I did my trimming, most of it. Oh, I missed a spot right here. Whoops, I cut into the side. Oh well. I'll just put it back. Okay, so I'll avoid that. Anyway, now it's time to look at the perimeter and see where you're missing. See this space here? Yeah, we did that before, didn't we? So now I'm going to take, and by whatever means necessary, I'm going to fill those spaces. So for instance, filling that one means that I am pushing the back of a half round in, and now I will simply cut away the excess. Okay, leaving clay in the space that needed to be filled, like so. Then it's just a simple matter of everything will join up when I start to reduce. So here's another one, and I push it right there. Push it all the way down, trim, and then in the same fashion, take my blade and cut away the excess. Yay. There we go. All right, so I will continue. Any place I find something that needs clay to fill it in, I am going to do it by whatever means necessary. Then trim away until I have a nice cylinder of clay containing a flower. You know, I'm really not looking forward to the center of this flower. I just am not. I got to admit it. I am not. Oh, well. Oh, well. Doink-a-dink. Sometimes things happen, and you just have to put on your big girl pants and deal with it. I'm going to have to do that, I guess. Okay, so I will be back. So I filled where I could, and, you know, it looks pretty good. It does. It's not perfect, but I'm just going to be reducing anyway, and I think it's going to be fine. So I am going to start reducing. Smash the face. I'm smashing the face with the boss. The boss. Okay. Nice flat face, and I'm going to start pushing, and because it's flat, I'm hoping that this whole area sticks to my work table. Okay, so I'll be back. We're reduced. We are reduced. Okay, let me cut off one end and see what we have. See how much waste I had. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Here's the waste. Let's do this side. Might be a little more on this side. This much waste for my cane. I think that's really good. I think that's really good. And you know what? I like this flower. Now, it doesn't really look like what I was kind of using. It didn't look like that, but you know what? I like it. I like it a lot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ride me high. Okay, now it's a little bit soft and it's a little rather squishy. So I'm going to let this rest for a while. And I'm going to ponder the center. Ooh, what am I going to do for the center? I'll be back. Doink. Okay, guys, so now we have 2 tropical flowers. Now, when I started this, I didn't think it was going to look exactly like that. I mean, how could it? I really like what happened. I really like it a lot. And I like it so much, I'm not going to do a center. I'm going to leave these two tropical flowers just like they are. Okay. And I'm not even going to make a center. If you wanted a center, you could just take yellow. You could just make a bullseye, you know, and I think that that would be fine. But this is also the kind of thing, I may actually just take a slice of it and plop a little crystal in the middle of it. But I like it so much, I don't think it really needs anything else. And it's a good addition to my tropical collection. So I think it's time for me to make a few more lays with my new flower. Okay, so that is the end of this class on tropical flowers. Maybe I'll pick it up again. Maybe I'll do some different ones. I hope you enjoyed it. I like doing it. You know, I don't do many flowers, to tell you the truth, because I always do the component caning thing where I position one petal and one petal and one petal. You know, I could make this as a single petal. It'd be quite nice because then I could build flowers using this as a petal. I think it'd be really great. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a member of the classroom. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So until we meet again, bye. So I'm back. You know, guys, sometimes I get a little lazy. I'm like, oh, I love this flower. I don't think I'll bother making the stamen. I have to. So, having already made the cane, the best way to make the stamen is to actually make another cane that you can slice really thin, put it on top. So I did a little experimentation. Now remember, with the translucent against the white here, it just turned yellow, and then when you put it against the black, you can see it too clearly. So I think that it's best to tint the translucent and tint it using that color in the center. Make it kind of dark. You'll still see through it some, but it's not going to make it lighter, right? The whole thing is not going to get lighter. Well, I did a little experiment too, because I quickly made one out of this color, translucent, tinted with some of this. And this is what the cane actually looks like. It's very regular. I don't think that's what I'm going to try to do next, but this was an experiment. And you can see that I used this orangey yellow, and then I used this orangey red. And that's what it looks like as a cane. And then when I put it on an actual flower sliced really, really thinly, actually I kind of doubled it over and made this. So you can see the yellow dots and the red dots are much smaller. This is what it looks like in the center. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the clay this a little bit darker. I'll add more of this. Second thing is I want those yellow dots and the red dots to pop more. I'm going to take this, I'm going to add white to it, make it more opaque, make it lighter. I will do the same thing with the red because I would like them to show up more. I mean, it's okay, but they're not showing up very much. So I think that that will definitely help. I mean, I could also take this and wrap it in white or something, you know, but I think I'll just directly add the white to this. Okay. And then when I put it together, this was just really regular. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make it the arrangement of these little bullseye canes, which is what these all are, and you'll see. Make them a little more irregular, okay? And yes, I've got to do something. You can hardly see those little red dots. I believe that by adding the white, we'll see them much better. So I will do my various color mixing and then I will be back. Okay, so I added white and it should show up better. I added white, red. Once again, making it more opaque is going to make it show up much more. This was the original color. I added enough to make the translucent this color, which I think is going to make it appear less. It's going to make it less noticeable. That's what I was trying to say. So now let me roll these two into cylinders because we're going to wrap each one to make bullseye canes. I'll be back. All right, here are my two little cylinders. Now I have to wrap each one. Now I'm going to make this wrap rather thick. And you know why? Because basically this center is a lace cane, isn't it? It's a lace cane. And you know when you have a thin wrap around a bullseye and you put them all together, then you create a lace pattern. You don't create a pattern with separate dots, okay? So you need that separation between them. So let's give this a go. So I've rolled my clay through the thickest setting of my pasta machine. Now I'm going to wrap it. Now, another thing I had considered for a moment was actually wrapping the yellow and wrapping the red in a very, very, very thin sheet of white. And I think that probably would do more to lift and separate and make these colors stand out. But I'm going to stick with this plan because the worst that happens is I have to do it again, right? Worst that happens. Because this is one of those cases. Look, I'm not using a lot of clay. I'm not making anything that's very big, certainly. So why not? I'll be back. We have some construction today with Aaron here. So there may be a little unusual noise every now and then. But let me wrap the other one and I'll be back. All right, so here you see them wrapped. Now, just imagine when they're all put together, these two thicknesses of this translucent clay, that's how much will separate them. I personally don't think that's enough. I think we're still risking ending up looking like a lace cane instead of these little dots set in a field. So what I'm going to do is increase the field. This is the field, right? I've rolled this through setting number 2, and I'm going to wrap each one. Then I'll be back. All right, so now I'm going to reduce these. I'm going to reduce them. I'm going to make them really long, and then we're going to put them together. Because now you see what the field around the dots is, and I think it's going to be much better. That's going to be enough to keep them separated from each other. All right, I'm going to reduce them. I'll be back. All right, so this is what I have. I reduced the red a wee bit smaller than the yellow. Then I rolled very thin snake of the packing color, of the background color. So let's start putting it together. This doesn't have to be a huge cane, by the way. All right, so let's pop back to the yellow. I'm going to try not to make it regular like I did the last time. You know, it was so regular. I could have made that little bit. Hi, Louie.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Aaron. I'm recording. So I'm continuing. That was Aaron who kind of keeps this place together. Anyway, so you can see that I'm reducing some and leaving some large, but I want some irregularity, unlike what I did before, which was just Everything was the same size, okay? Not what we want for this. So, this kind of thing is sometimes difficult for me. I tend to veer toward making things very regular, and so sometimes it's kind of tough. But I will just do my best. Sometimes regular patterns are just easier than trying to build something and trying to build it so that there's no identifiable pattern repeating itself. Okay, so here is where perhaps I will choose something larger right there. So I've got all these little pieces, these little worms that look exactly the same until I pick them up and look at them. Okay, so I don't know what Erin's working on today, but it'll be better when it's done. All right, so let me continue, and my goal is to make this round. And you know what? I'm much happier with this than I was with the other one. So when I get it done, I'll be back. Just going to work within all these reduced pieces and do the best I can. Okay, so here's where I am. It's nice. It's pretty round. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take little tiny snakes and fill them in. Try to make it even rounder. Okay? Tiny little space-filling snakes. Not very big ones, just tiny. Let's fill that space. Okay. You know, I think I'll finish this later. I'm hearing voices upstairs and drills and all kinds of stuff, so I'll be back. So I'm back. You can see what's happening here. And it's really looking good, I think. But I am just going to continue to fill this so that when I reduce it, these pieces don't just squish flat. Squish flat. Right? We don't want any flat squooshing. And that just means I have to put little tiny snakes there and fill in the air spaces. But it looks good. Here's a little cutout of it. So let me continue the tedious work of rolling little tiny skinny snakes and laying them in spaces along the perimeter. I'll be back. So I think I've done a pretty good job. Not perfect, but let us reduce it. And then put it in the center of a flower and see what we have. Reduce this quite small. All right, I think we're almost there. Almost there. Okay, let's see what we've got. Oops. Okay. Just going to take a slice and then take a really thin slice. like so. And let's just position it like that. Yes, that yellow is definitely going to show up better than it did before. I'm going to take a tile. Like so. Let's just flatten this out a bit. This side is thicker. Yeah, I'll just pull it out like so. Now, I'm going to texture it, and then I am going to bake it. I'm going to cure it. And let's see what we have. Okay, I'll be back. All right, so we have the flower cane and we have the flower center cane. Let's make some earrings. So what I'm going to do first, I've got a tile here. I'm going to cut 2 slices from my cane. That's not a good slice. See how thin it is? Well, I want something a bit thicker. Doesn't have to be a lot thicker, but that was too thin. Okay, so now I've got 2. This is a bit thin as well, but we're just going to live with it. Okay, let me put that down. Put this one down, and you can see I'm leaving quite a bit of space in between them. You will see why. Now, let's take 2 slices off of our center cane. I'm going to cut them as thin as I can. Just as thin as I can. It's one good one. And you know what? That one looks pretty good. And now I am going to, hello, stuck to me. One, 2, like so. All right, now I'm going to roll, really flatten them. I don't want to feel them. I can feel it a little. It's not really critical because I am going to texture them as well, right? This guy's a little thin, but he's okay. Okay, got him. Now, let us texture. Like so. That's good. And now I'm going to cut the black away. Now, I could cut the black away with this. I could. But what I'm going to use is this. See, it has nice, sharp, let me look. Is that the one with the sharpest corners? It'd be nice to get one with very sharp corners. I think I'll use this guy. Okay, and what I do with this is I just take a corner like so. And I do find this faster than using the scalpel. And it's not just faster, it's also easier, I believe. But that's why I've got all this space between, because I have to be able to take the cutter and fit it in there without cutting the other piece. So I just go all the way around, cutting away the excess. Yeah. So give this a try. If you think that it will be easier just to use a scalpel, give that a try too. Why not? All right, so let me cut the other one and then I'll be back. The next thing I'm going to do is take this little nylon tool. I really like this, and it's got this flat one. And just gently push any corners in, like so. So I will do that to both of them, and then I'll be back. Now it's time to cure them. I'll be back. So while our earrings are curing, let's take a look, because I baked a sample. This was my original one, remember? You can see it. And then this is what I did after I added white to the yellow. I added white to the red, and I darkened the translucent. I added more of that alizarin crimson color to the translucent, and it is, what an improvement. Look at this. Look at that. Much, much better. I think much, much better. All right. So I'll be back after our earrings are cured. All right, my earrings are cured and they're cool. So now I'm going to turn them over, and just with a bit of super glue, this Loctite glue, I'm just going to glue the posts on. I'm trying to hit the center. You know, this is one of those times where I wish I had nails on both hands, but I don't. Because if I expect to play my guitar, I have to have short nails on my left hand. Okay, well, that's not bad. Okay, now I have to cover that up, however. And so I've got clay that I've rolled through setting number 5, and I'm going to roll it with my sponge. Like so. Now, I will take liquid clay and with the brush, you know, I cover it with this thinking it's going to stay clean. And you know what? It never does. It never does. Ever. Okay, here we go. And that was my oven. I'm curing some more pieces like these for a lei. All right. Now I'm going to take this guy, just kind of pop him on there just like that. Okay. Let me cut the excess away, make it a little easier to handle. And now I have to trim around the whole thing. Now, you can't really see this, but here, let me just do it here on my messy Nivea can. But because it has the post, I have to elevate it, put it on something flat to cut the excess away like this. All right. Okay. Excellent. And now I'm going going to take my craft knife. This is not a scalpel. And I'm going to cut away the excess, like so. Now, I'm going to have to sand this after it's cured. And that's why I didn't sand it before, because I know. Ask me how I know. So I thought, I won't waste the time right now to sand, because I'm going to have to do that after. Okay, so just do your best to get rid of the excess, like that, like so. Almost done. Now these will be baked face down, and I put a piece of paper towel on the tile, and I bake them like that. Okay, so let me do the other one and get it into the oven. I'll be back. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is just lightly sand the edge. And this is, I think, a medium sanding block. I buy them from Harbor Freight because they're quite cheap there. So that's all I have to do. And it doesn't take long. Happens really fast. Doink. Almost done. Okay. These are cute. I am so glad I decided to do that. I am. I think it looks really good. Really good. Okay, one down, one to go. But you see here, I made dangles. Dangly guys. Embedding an oval jump ring. And you know, that just makes the flower, doesn't it? And they just look great. You can see the dark underneath that translucence. It worked out perfectly. Okay, let me finish. I'll be back. Here are the earrings all finished. All I have to do is add some Nivea along the edge, and then they will be done. You know, I'm looking at these. I am so glad I went ahead and I made that center part of the flower. Because when you look at the one I made without, looks like something's missing, doesn't it? This looks very bare. This is what it needed. So I'm glad I did it. Now, this is the part that I always hate, and it's the goodbye part, you know. You guys know, sometimes I come back, but I don't intend to come back because I think that the class tutorial is complete. So I'm just going to say, this is Donna Kato signing out.